Hello, everybody. I have a wonderful treat. I know I start off all of my podcasts when I have a guest with you. I've got a great treat for you today, but I do. And he's also a really good friend of mine. He is Steve Gamlin, also known as the Motivational Firewood Guy, Beach Bum Philanthropy. He is just freaking awesome. He's a fellow professional speaker and has a huge heart of gold. So I'm going to let him explain a little bit more about who he is. And then we're going to talk about it's probably one of his passions that he is really, really known for and is really amazing at. That's vision boards. Steve, want to share anything more about yourself besides being a fellow New Hampshire?
Thank you, Laurie-Ann. Oh my gosh, that intro, if you printed that intro out and put macaroni and glitter around the edge, my mom would hang that on her fridge. That was awesome. So thank you very much. And you are very, very kind in saying all that. Yeah, I'm a professional speaker. I'm known for visualization and vision boarding, working with individuals and companies, got a background as a radio personality, stand-up comedian, and award-winning comedy writer and producer internationally. So I've taken everything I've done in the past now and I bring it to what I do because so many people are tired of the motivational, rah, 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 buy my stuff speaker approach. So what I try to do is just level things.
Yeah.
I have amazing conversations with my clients. The reason they hire me, some of them now 11 years in a row, is because my heart and soul are in every single thing I do with integrity just at the rudder, keeping me going in a straight line the whole way. So thank you so much for having me here. And for anybody listening that is not aware of who I am, where I've been, what I'm all about, today's conversation should shed some light on that.
Yes, totally agree. This is going to be fun. And I totally forgot about the humor stuff. I just think I just take it for granted but you are such a funny guy, but you've helped me out in a number of my presentations, for different organizations or associations that I had to speak for, and just like how to punch it up with humor. It's been so awesome.
It's
So
funny
yeah,
because of COVID, we weren't out, on stages. We weren't getting on planes anymore to fly halfway across the country and speaking.
right.
So many people who were switching over to being virtual and doing the Zoom thing.
Mhm.
That part of my business about humor punch ups and giving people stronger material, that actually saw a spike during COVID
Mhm.
because people said, Steve, I'm in a room by myself. I can't be funny this way. Can you look at my stuff? And it actually, again, a gift of the pandemic,
Yes.
bouncing our businesses and our attitudes and our outlook off the wall a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And opportunities were there if you weren't staring at your shoes complaining. They're
Right.
there and they still are. And that's why
Right.
you and I have continued to grow no matter what's going on externally in our minds and in our hearts. We just keep saying, my 3 words for 2020. I saw a social media post. Somebody goes, what are your 3 words for 2020? And I'm going to keep it clean. Total crap storm was one that a lot of people just copied and pasted. And I just said, learned new ways.
Yeah.
And
So
that's
true.
that's gonna ring true for this year as well. So hopefully with this conversation we can inspire some other people to
Yeah.
believe in themselves a little bit more and maybe have a couple more tools in the toolbox to get there.
Absolutely. And like both you and I like had to do some major pivots last year,
Yeah.
and we did them really quickly instead of, crossing our arms and sitting on the sidelines and saying, well, this should only be a couple of weeks. Let's see what happens. Nope, we just like jumped in there. You and I had discussions about like we could just see it coming, see it coming.
Yeah.
So make the change now and not later.
Yeah. The
But
latest estimates I'm hearing for the speaking industry getting back on track to any semblance of what it was, 3 to 5 years.
ooh,
Those are the numbers that I'm hearing at the moment.
ooh, that's scary.
Yeah.
That's scary. But again, the opportunity is here we are on Zoom, and where else can a speaker, speak on the East Coast, like in the morning, speak on the West Coast in the afternoon, and still sleep in their bed.
Yeah, exactly. And people say, well, what's your business model now? I said, or your motto, I should say, not model. Your motto, I said, I've been dressing nicely from the waist up since March 14th of 2020. And of
That's
course,
awesome.
the famous photo of me with my tie, my shirt, my jacket, and my
Yes.
ripped up jeans.
Yes.
Posed like the thinker with my foot up on my drum stool
Yes.
after a Zoom call. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's okay.
that's great. Let's talk about vision board because it's right there in the on a sign in the behind you.
Yeah. Oh, that's from this week. Yeah, I had a webinar the other day for one of my longtime clients. So the board
Oh,
hasn't changed in a couple of days.
yeah.
Yeah.
But vision boards are so powerful, and I haven't had anybody on here to talk about vision boards. So let's talk about vision. Like, how did you get into vision boards? Because you've been doing vision board trainings for as long as I know you.
Yeah, I've been doing the trainings for about 15 years.
Mhm.
And it started off about 17 years ago. My life, when I began my speaking career, was really not in a good place. I had left my radio career. I went through a divorce. And financially, I was in really bad shape, right around the age of 35 or so. And I was working with a life coach. And he said, have you ever heard of the law of attraction or the secret? Which at the time was really big because it gave a nice, easy, broad brush explanation about being attractive, being magnetic. The energy you put out increases the odds similar energy will return.
Right.
So I got the secret DVD, and of the 91 minutes, some of which I thought was good, some of which I thought was really not well executed because they had a genie in a magic lamp saying, your wish is my command. And I just roll
That's
my eyes and say, you are misinforming the world right now. But some of the
right.
rest of the stuff is good. There
Mhm.
was a gentleman named John Assaraf, and about 2/3 of the way through the movie, for 3 minutes, he talked about how he had made vision boards in years prior.
Right.
And the famous story was he realized he was actually living in the house that he had put on his vision board years before.
I remember that story too.
And I was so fascinated by that I started to do a little bit of digging on visualization, law of attraction, vision boards in a practical way, not the genie in a magic lamp way.
Right.
And I just, so early on in my speaking career, I hit that and I was just blown away. And I started to manifest little things in my life, and it just continued to grow and grow and grow. And so people would ask me, hey, do you ever do events to the public? Which I'll probably never ever do again, but I did a few. And then realized the public generally doesn't care. It was an arts and crafts project, and they asked where the wine was. Not that kind of party.
Mm-hmm.
So I started teaching them as a legitimate success creation tool, and then to get it away from the arts and crafts kind of label that's stuck on it,
Yeah.
really having people do some deep dives in work. And I developed a lot of exercises and worksheets and deep diving. And as things were happening to me over the course of that decade in building this, everything became part of the program.
Right, because what I find is that too many people, especially like right now with, maybe creating the digital, vision board, is that, well, let me go shopping for things. And they just kind of like randomly like go to Pinterest and grab some pictures like, oh, this looks good. This looks good. And
Mm.
throw it on some board. And it's like, there's no meaning behind it. They just went like, yeah, I'll take one of those, and one of those.
Yeah. And it really can be like that. And sometimes people will say, oh, I made a vision board once and, oh, I half of it came true. Like, well, listen to how you explain that. Did it just happen to come true? Or did you actually work to get it? Because if you've done the work and you've picked the X on your treasure map in
Yeah.
9 major categories of your life, because that's how many I work with, and you understand why you want them,
Hmm.
a really emotionally compelling reason, one that just, if you say it in the mirror, you'll feel it.
Yeah.
And you really feel the emotion. It's not just wishing, it's not just wanting, it's saying, no matter how many trees fall across my path, I'm going to make it to the top of the mountain to make this happen.
Hmm.
And 2020 was a giant clump of trees falling across many people's
Yeah.
paths. But I've got clients that I've been coaching for the past couple of years, one of whom is in a business that relies upon home parties,
Hmm.
expos at conference centers, and
Hmm.
all that was taken away. And
Right.
just by social media and her email list and doing Facebook Lives and Zoom calls and Zoom virtual parties, she doubled her income.
Oh, I love that.
Without being live, she doubled her income, was voted Employee of the Year by all of her peers, which is hundreds of people. And she accomplished the goals that have been on her vision board for 2-3 years by
That's
working together
amazing.
systematically and taking consistent, momentum building action, because consistency plus momentum equals confidence.
Yeah.
And that is so critical. It's not just what you want, it's who you become along the way. And the way I teach these things, that's what we build.
I love that. I just love that. And I know from the vision boards that I've created, and and you'll probably tell me that you recommend to your clients to look at them a little more often, but I don't always look at them that often. But
Mhm.
at the end of the year, like I'm grabbing a marker and I'm kind of like, yep, check, check, check. Like my podcast was on last year's vision board. And
Mhm.
again, like I don't look at it that often, but then I like go and I'm always amazed
Yeah.
at how much I did that was on that on my vision board. And I really should probably like set a date in my calendar to look at it a little more often.
Yeah. But see, when you put it together, you were so emotionally connected to it that it was
Yeah.
already in motion.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
can stare at something every day and not do a thing to
Mhm.
progress toward it, but you were so serious about it and you knew why you wanted it. Obviously, I mean, look, we're here right now because you were dedicated enough to learn the skills you needed, set up your studio in your home, which sounds great. I know we've been working on that together,
Thank you. Thank you.
helping you out with that. Got the equipment, got the confidence to do that. You set up a regular schedule. You have your content and you have interviews and conversations. And you mapped all this out in your head and then believed you could do it and then took the actions.
Yeah. You're giving me way more credit.
Actually, I'm not. I'm not. And somebody called me a guru last week in an interview. At the end, I'm like, do me a favor, edit that out.
But just
I'm a
hearing you
coach.
say all that stuff, it's like, yeah, you're right. I did do all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Just
And
didn't realize it.
yeah. And when you actually believe and acknowledge that you did it, see, one of my
Mhm.
biggest things over the years is being self-deprecating. And through the use of humor, I would never want to take credit for anything.
Mm,
And what I found out was when I was doing that, I was lessening my credibility with people.
yeah.
I thought I was just being funny and not wanting to get a huge head by doing that. But what I found out was it was costing me quite a bit in
Right.
potential business and in growth. But when you actually look at it and say, you know what, I did do that, and here's all the steps I did, and here's the coach who told me and guided me through this.
Mm,
Here's all the people I met that I never would have met if I hadn't committed to having my own podcast.
that's beautiful.
And to acknowledge that and give yourself a thumbs up in the mirror. And on a regular basis, even if you don't look at the board, on a regular basis, give gratitude
Yeah.
for the little steps you made. Like, oh, today I met this person. Oh, today I met this person. They've got 100,000 people on their list, and they want to be on my podcast, and they're going to tell everybody about it.
Yeah.
So it's those little steps
Yeah.
that keep us growing, but we have to acknowledge them to understand that we're in process.
Yeah. That's so true. So, what's one of like the biggest things that you think when somebody is creating a vision board? Um, like like what's the most important thing? Like I know that you have like a process that you walk people through when you do
Mhm.
this, but like what like how do people start? Like what's the big thing?
The first thing I do with people, actually, the first exercise, and I'll just say this now, the Vision Board Mastery Program that you see listed on the board here has 10 modules. We don't gather pictures to module 7.
Wow.
Most people start there.
Yeah, no
Most people
kidding.
actually have pictures already in a baggie when they go to a vision board event.
Mm-hmm.
We wait till number 7. Module 2, which is the first exercise of the program, is a big assessment of where you are right now in 8 major categories in your life.
Oh, so you're evaluating like where are you right now so that you can
Yeah.
determine where does that like where I want to go.
Yeah. It's just like with GPS software.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to know where you are now to be able to guide you to where you want to go. So you
Right.
have to have those 2 points. You need to know where you are now. And some people go, they just write, my life stinks. I go, okay, let's not, I'm sorry if it stinks, but let's get a little more descriptive
Mm-hmm.
with this. Okay, what's the best part of your life with regard to, say, your physical health right now?
Right.
Oh, well, I exercise regularly, but not enough. Okay, you go to the gym? Yeah. Okay, just right. I go to the gym twice a week. And,
Mm-hmm.
and just be really honest. It's not to bash yourself, and also don't lie to yourself. be really honest with yourself, even if things aren't perfect, to just describe. Now, if you do it with words, great. If you do it on a scale of 1 to 10, that's fine too, because some people are more wired for that.
Right.
Get a good, clear snapshot of where you are right now, because the exercise right after that, where do you want these to be? What do you want them to look like, feel like, sound like, smell like, be like?
Yeah.
Say a year from now.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say, "Oh, Steve, I want all this in 20 years." I'm like, well, hold on there, Tony Robbins. Let's back it up. Let's do. Have you ever done this before? No. Okay, let's do a year.
Yeah.
But understand that some of those year goals are the first steps of your 20-year goals.
Right.
So we're
Right.
setting a thing in motion here. It's not a beginning and an ending. It's like the marathons that have those spots where you get the Gatorade
Mm-hmm.
or energy bar. It's these rest stops on the way. So if we do it a year at a time, you get to progress, and it's incremental
Right.
toward some of your bigger, really long-term goals. But if you make a board today for 20-year goals, you're probably not going to make it a week before you crumble and
No, and that feels so
shake in the corner.
overwhelming
Yeah.
to think of like, okay, make a 20-year vision board. Where do you want to be until like, I don't even know. I don't know because so much can happen between now and 5 years.
Yeah. No, people say, "Well, Steve, what's your goal in 20 years?" I'm like, to still be breathing at this point. I mean, other than that, I don't visualize that far ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather do these short-term, year at a time
Mm-hmm.
goals and enjoy the journey so much and
Right.
just rip it up.
And I think that's killer is the enjoy it.
Yeah.
Enjoy the journey. Enjoy, getting to December 31st, the
Mhm.
end of this year, and being able to like look, then reflect back on here's everything that I did do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's my gratitude journal. I mean, the year
Mm.
2020 was not, again, some people wrote, flaming crap storm. And I wrote learn new things,
Yeah.
learned new things, or new ways.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the midst of a pandemic, even in the midst of one of my two companies completely disintegrating. I've
Yeah.
owned an entertainment MC DJ company for 27 years. COVID killed it.
Yeah,
And
it
actually,
did.
it turned out to be the best thing that could have happened. I was keeping it alive just because it helped pay the bills. I was not enjoying it anymore.
And don't you find like keeping something alive actually is preventing you from moving forward. And I think that's exactly what you're going to say next is,
Hmm.
like, because I see that in myself, just different things like almost like, but like this program that I've been teaching, but if I just hold on to it because like it might have been like the first program that I ever taught online or that
Yeah.
I ever like presented to an audience. And yeah, like sometimes that stuff is like an anchor.
Yeah. It's like trying to wear that same sweater that you loved for years and you
Oh
put it
yeah.
on and it doesn't fit anymore. You look like the Michelin
Right.
man in it,
Right.
and the moths have eaten half of it and the collar's hanging off, but you're like, it's my favorite sweater. But then like
Hmm.
my wife will say, you are not wearing that out in public because you're not happy in it, sort
Yeah.
of thing. This is not the best version of you, hon. I love you, but it really came to that. And now people are starting to ask. I still have a handful of events I'm going to honor for this year, of course.
Hmm.
Anybody who contracted me, I'm going to honor everything. People have already started calling for 2022. I said, you know what? I'm actually retiring the business at the end of this year. Don't know if it's permanent, but for the foreseeable future, we're focusing on the speaking business and the vision board work. But thank you so much for reaching out. Let me guide you towards somebody who can take care of your needs.
How does that feel?
It feels amazing to say that. My agent is probably not too happy that I'm saying it because I was his busiest guy, but he understands. He's been great about it. It
Mm,
feels, I hang up that phone and I look in the mirror and I'm smiling
that's wonderful.
because I'm honoring myself enough to stay focused on what my vision is, and I'm not dragging along this business. I loved having weekends at home with my wife, Tina, during this past year. After 27 years of working many weekends,
Hmm.
it felt really great. We've been in this house now almost 3 years. It felt amazing to just be a homeowner on the weekends
Yeah.
and work in the yard
Yeah.
and bake dinner 3-4 nights a week with Tina, which is part of my vision board. I mean, even mundane daily things like that that bring me joy, I made sure that they're on there.
Right. Right. Oh, I love that. Like everyday things are on your vision board and
Yeah.
just to enhance the experience
Mm-hmm.
because that's what life is. I mean, it's nothing, it's just an experience and it's an opportunity to grow more and more, as we
Yeah.
just kind of like move along.
Yeah. I had a client the other night. She's part of this company that does the home parties, and
Hmm.
she's about to crush it virtually this year. Actually, one of her hashtags
It's
is
awesome.
hashtag virtual goddess, because that's what the reps are called, goddesses or
Yeah.
an Adonis.
Hmm.
And she said, well, I don't know what to put for relationships. Now, she also said, for the first time ever, because of the way we did the webinar this year, everybody was home alone. There weren't people gathered in a big room somewhere
Right.
or watching remotely. Everyone was remote and most people were alone. And she said, is it normal to cry when you're doing the worksheets?
Mm,
I said, it's 100% an acceptable response, because it means you dug deep enough, you struck emotion,
yeah.
and you struck connection to your goals. And she said, I was bawling my eyes out. And then she said, Steve, I have no idea what to put down as a picture for our relationship. So we got on a coaching call.
Hmm.
I said, here's a link. I'm going to give you a 30-minute coaching call. We talked for an hour.
Of course
And I
you
said,
did.
what do you love most about your relationship? She goes, oh gosh, when we go to sleep at night, when we wake up in the morning, we snuggle our feet together. I said, hey, me and Tina do that too. I said, that's like my favorite part of every morning. And I said, so why don't you find a picture of couples with just their feet hanging out from under the blankets,
Oh, I
like
love
snuggled
that.
together? And she's like,
Yeah.
oh, and I can see her on the Zoom thing, like, waving
Misty.
for her eyes, misting up. And we just talked about it at that level. And she said, I never would have thought of that for the little daily stuff. Because so many
Hmm.
people, I mean, in our industry, come on, what do people
Big
say?
stuff.
You know, a Lamborghini, a yacht, a
Yeah.
mansion, all of which are rented in those videos, by the way, most of them. But it's all these trappings of success that people put out there. There are
Yeah.
people now who market vision board kits
I
with
know. And every time
pre-done
I see that,
pictures.
like I just like I don't know how, unless you've gone through like your kind of like a good program
Yeah.
a couple of times, then it's probably the only way that you can really do it at home. But with that, because you almost like have to have that foundation first.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that's somebody else guessing at what most people would want and just throwing it out
Right.
there. And,
That's right.
maybe you will hit something. Who knows? But if you're not emotionally connected to it, and this works in your personal life and in business as well,
Right.
it does. And it's amazing what I've been able to create in my own life and then teach other people to do. And I mean, gosh, in the midst of a pandemic, a couple of my clients crushing their numbers
That's awesome.
because they just focused on what they had control over and they never took their eyes off the goal. They just bounced it off the
Hmm.
wall a different way.
Right. Right. Before we started recording, and I'm wondering if this is a good place to talk about um, the TD Bank study that is,
Yeah.
yeah, is this a good place to talk about
Oh,
that?
of course. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think numbers and studies about is fascinating. And I know that,
Mm,
like I've got some listeners who like, wow, over like stats.
yeah. And these are some seriously good stats. And I apologize if you see me looking down because I've got them right in front of me here by the camera.
Good.
Right around 2010, 2011, TD Bank did a big study. 1,100 business owners and 500 individuals were surveyed over this. And they found that 2/3 of the people surveyed believe that visualization, having an image for where you want to go, is effective to know
Hmm.
where you want to go and have a vision of what that will look like. And I always add feel like, sound like, smell like, be like. 1 in 5 people who did use vision boards when they started their businesses,
Hmm.
76% of them said that the business was where they envisioned it would be.
76%.
76% out of the 1 in 5 people who did build a board,
Yeah.
76% of them said, I mean, they saw it and then they made it happen.
Yeah. That's
It's like
amazing.
seeing the X on the treasure map and not just walking all over the beach
Hmm.
digging holes and wasting your time and wasting your resources.
Hmm.
82% of small business owners who used a vision board from the get-go said that they had accomplished more than half the goals on the board.
Wow.
And I've had some people say, like, oh, only half? Thinking, well, about 75 to 80% of businesses that are started are gone inside of 3 years.
Hmm.
So if 82% of the people small business owners who use vision boards from the beginning said they'd accomplish more than half their goals, that is a killer number.
And we don't even know what those goals were.
Yeah.
Just the fact, I mean, they could have been really like that, like audacious, huge
Mm,
goals, and they accomplished half of them.
yeah.
So like kudos to them.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Pretty
I'm
amazing. So
amazed that TD Bank did this kind of a study,
yeah.
because that's a big investment on their part to, like to study this. And like, I guess, do you happen to know why they wanted to do this study
I
on
think they
these
just wanted
business
to talk
people?
about the economics in the model of coaching, having a vision.
Hmm.
When people write out a business plan, I mean, I've written one business plan in my entire life, and it was a complete work of fiction. Somebody
I
else
agree.
me through it just so I could get a business line of credit.
Hmm.
And I made the mistake of joking in the office, going, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you fell for this." That was back during my stand-up comedy days when I, tact and just the nervousness of,
Right, right.
and I paid it all back. I didn't default on it, but it was a complete work of fiction because it was a Mad Libs version of what somebody said a financial document and a plan had to be.
Right, it's very left brain.
It is.
It's almost
It
like
is.
and you probably were like typing it out like on your computer, which is also very left brain. And we start writing the stuff of, what do I think they want to hear? What do I think I
Yeah.
should want, like my business to look like? And so then it just becomes very analytical instead of like really like tapping into your own emotions, tapping
Mhm.
into like the subconscious, and like, what do I really want? Like, how do I want my business to actually fit into my life?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yep. And you do have to speak that other language, of course, for the financial people and the planners. And we
Yeah.
can't just be, handing out checks to hippies who want to start their own business, man. You can't
Right.
do that, but it's just that my brain can't go 100% there.
Yeah.
I struggled with it for a long time. And that business actually wound up going out of business, but it planted the seeds
Hmm.
for my recording studios, because that's what the original business was going to be, a production house for advertising, for media, for creating audio.
Hmm.
And so I just took that part of it. Instead of doing it for other clients, I became my own production house.
Nice.
So that part of it survived beautifully.
Mm.
And I'm now in my second studio that I built since we bought our house.
Mhm.
This is studio number 2. And that part of it is still very alive and well. But now it
Mm.
serves its one client, me,
You.
me. I'm my only client. And I have people come in. Hey, Steve, I want to come in. Can I use your barn board wall? No,
No, have your
no.
bring your
This is
own.
this is branding.
Yeah.
No. You can't have my chalkboard either.
Yeah.
No.
Love that. Yeah, I really do like your back,
Mm.
and your studio. And I've seen the first studio, and maybe one day I'll get to see the second studio.
That would be great. One of these
See the
days when we can all
inside.
run around again. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
tell my listeners and the viewers here on YouTube about your vision board mastery program.
Yeah. It comes straight out of my journals
Hmm.
from that really rough time in my life, building up to, I mean, just little incremental wins
Yeah.
along the way. And like I said, consistency plus momentum equals confidence, because I had zero
Hmm.
back when all this started. Really didn't. And was just saw this as a way to take something I was passionate about, like being creative and using audio. And right about the time that I was starting to really get some steam going, building my speaking business, getting paid to speak, and people were asking about the vision board classes, somebody said one time, Steve, I can't afford to have you come in. I'm just a solopreneur. You should have a product for somebody like me. And I can't hire you to come in and coach me one-to-one. You should make a program. And I thought about it and I talked with a couple of people that I knew, and they said, what would you tell people?
Yeah.
Or what would it look like? And this is what I do with people now. And I had great people coaching me. I said, okay, here's what it's not going to be. It's not going to be a 20 DVD set with a bonus 400-page workbook and all these auxiliary things that don't mean anything that no one's going
No.
to listen to anyway.
Right. Right.
And it won't be
Clip
that.
art.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So bad. Some people say, but wait, there's more. At the time when it first came out, it was still the age of CDs.
Yes, I
The
remember.
entire, oh yeah, well, you saw the original program.
I did.
The binder with the, open it and there's the CD.
Yep.
The original entire program fit on one CD.
Hmm.
I spent over 200 hours in my recording studio creating 74 minutes and 52 seconds of really good audio. So what it does is we start with doing an assessment of where you are right now. And
Mhm.
then a year from now, what would you like each of those areas of your life to look like, feel like, sound like, be like a year from now? And then the third
Mhm.
column is one of the most important things you can ever ask yourself. Why do I want this?
Right.
And don't just say because. And in the what do you want a year from now, you can't just write more or better. You have
Right.
to
Right.
really put it out there and be as emotionally
Decide.
connected. You have to make a decision.
Just
You can't
trust
just
yourself that you
yeah,
won't make the wrong decision. That
yeah,
and like, what's the harm in just deciding?
yeah. I mean, it doesn't mean that if you take one step to the side that you blew your entire goal. You
Right.
may wind up finding a trail up the mountain that's even better than you planned.
Right.
But
And
you
you
have to
might
know
even
where you're walking.
exceed some of
Yeah,
those.
yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, I have every single time. I look back and I go, really? That's all I wanted? That
Got to
part was
dream
easy and
bigger.
it led to something else, or it led to
Yeah.
me extending the goal. Like, I don't, if I achieve it in July, I don't take the rest of the year off.
And
I
I've
do
had some
that.
clients who do really well with their vision boards that like halfway or three quarters through the year, they've actually got to create a new vision board because they're like, but I did everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if it's one or two things, it kind of
Hmm.
building on what you just said, I've had people say, hey, Steve, this goal, I already achieved it. What do I do next? I said, set another goal.
Yeah.
And then they go, do I have to make a whole new board? I said, no, find another picture that represents the goal
And
you want.
just put
Put
it
it
right
on
there.
top of the other one, but leave a half inch or so of it hanging out
Yeah. So you can see
so
it
that you
a little
know
bit. Hmm.
that was your first, and you're now showing yourself that you're second
Mm.
level
Yeah.
on this
Second
goal.
level.
You've reached second level. And if your board starts to look like a relief map of South Dakota, yeah, build a new board. If you've
Yeah.
crushed the entire board, by all means, build a new one. And right after you do the why, one of my favorite parts, it's a brainstorm. And I
Hmm.
have all these different questions,
Mm.
thought starter questions. Unplug everything electronic, put pen to paper, sit somewhere and just listen and just write.
Nice.
It's like the greatest letter to Santa Claus ever. You may
That
as well just
quiet
Xerox
time.
this year's catalog. Yeah, being somewhere quiet. I love to do this one out at the beach.
Yeah.
And I go
And
down
it's
to a
just
secluded cove with just the waves and I write pages and pages and pages.
and it's just to get quiet so that you can hear yourself think.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And
I love
what we
that.
do after that is we start to narrow down. We go category by category. It's okay. What's your top
Mm.
goal? If you're brand new to vision boarding, I suggest just one goal from each category as a start.
Yeah.
Don't put down 20 material things that you want to have this year. Make sure you hit every category at least once.
Nice.
And then if you have a couple and you say, oh, Steve, I can't decide between these. I want them both. I said, okay, because this happened to me, which is why it's in the program. Go find a mirror,
Mm.
hold up your list, say each one and look at yourself in the mirror. The one that makes you smile the most, that's the one you start with
Love that.
because you're emotionally connected to it and you
Yeah.
see yourself and you actually feel what it's going to feel when you have that. And then
Yeah.
step 7, you gather the pictures. Now,
Hmm.
you don't glue them on yet. You gather them for each one.
Yeah.
And then you pick whatever's most important to you and you put that in the center. Everything
Mm.
else builds from there so that it tells a story
Story.
and they're all interconnected in some way. If they're near each other, it's almost like having the concentric circles where there's a little overlap with each and they tell a story. One of my clients the other day came up with a circle design. She's very analytical with that. She found this graphic out there and
Ooh.
she goes, is it okay if I build my board on this model? I'm blown away. Yeah.
Yeah.
And tell me how it goes. Cause I thought it was genius. She may wind up teaching part of that as a Zoom call one of these days.
That's great. Yeah. Tell us about because you have weekly calls. Is
Mhm.
are the weekly calls for the people who have gone through your vision board process or
Not necessarily. No, it's really anybody who has an interest in pursuing a goal of getting higher up the mountain than they are right now.
yeah.
Many of them are my vision board clients, but there are other people who might be new to personal development. And I say, you know what? Doors wide open. Come on in.
And how do people learn about that and
Mm.
sign up? Because for everybody who's listening, it's a steal to have
Yeah.
Steve's time once a week.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
motivationalfirewood.com/weekly.
weekly.
And it happens every Monday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And we're on for it's 30 to 45 minutes to go
Hmm.
over a lot. But what we talk about each week I'll usually pick 3 topics or 3 things that happened that week or a new lesson or something I discovered, or even better, what I love
Mm,
is when people
mhm.
reach out during the week. Hey, Steve, can you talk about this on Monday? I kind of had this challenge the other day,
I
or
love
I
that.
saw these things and I'm not quite sure what to do. Could you include it in the call? Or they'll ask me, can you tell me what to do? I said, tell you what, show up Monday night, because if you have that question, other people might have that question.
Right, right.
And because you asked it and you're an awesome person, we can help other people with it. Is that okay? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's beautiful.
So it's a community fed broadcast. And at the time of this broadcast, this past Monday night was episode number 78.
Wow.
So we are well into our 2nd year.
Yeah.
And my wife, Tina, says, what if we go on vacation? I said, they better have Wi-Fi because I ain't missing my weekly broadcast.
I think I asked you that a while ago too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I said,
fantastic.
if I got to rub 2 coconuts together and wear woolen socks and drag them down the red carpet of a hotel lobby in the Bahamas, I'm going to do it.
You're going to do
Because
it.
it's so important to me. We've got such an incredible energy every week. The chat is lit up with people
Hmm.
cheering, not just asking questions, cheering each other on. Because one of the things I ask each week, inspired by my coach, Lonnie Robinson, who starts off his call saying, all right, everybody, what are your wins?
Yeah.
What are you happy for this week? What are you grateful for? What action did you take? What result did you get?
Big and small.
Big and small.
Hmm.
And it doesn't matter. Somebody the other day, I was on a coaching call, and one of the people who works underneath this particular person I was speaking with as part of her downline did her very first Facebook Live
Yay.
and left it up, didn't take it down. I
Hmm.
said, how was it? She goes, oh, it was terrible. And I said, well, so was my first one. So we're okay
Yeah,
here. I said, she didn't take it down. She goes, oh no, I told her, you leave that up there.
that's right.
And she said, now, how do I encourage or coach her or get her to become better? I said, here's a question that was once asked of me, and I will suggest you ask it of her. Just say her name and say, I want you to go back and watch your Facebook Live. And then ask yourself, what would I do differently on the next one? Like,
Yeah.
what's one thing I could do that would make me more comfortable or
Mhm.
better or whatever on the next one? And then after number 2, ask her again.
That's awesome. That's great advice.
No, it
And I
was
love
given to
that.
me, and people think I invented everything I talk about. Are you crazy?
Right.
I've had the most amazing coaches and mentors over the years. And what I do is I honor them by
Hmm.
taking what they taught me and making it work.
That's beautiful.
And then I share it.
That's beautiful. Can you share with my listeners where they can find you?
Yeah, nice and easy.
Find and follow you. Hmm.
Yeah, motivationalfirewood.com. That's where everything is. And we're undergoing some changes, doing some work here and there on the site and shifting a few things, but we make sure every day that it all still works and that it's there
Good.
when you go there. Yeah,
Wonderful. Wonderful.
motivationalfirewood.com. We even have a free, what's called a masterclass, which
Oh,
especially for
wonderful.
those who've never heard of the law of attraction or, think the genie in the magic lamp thing is how it all works. We have a new masterclass there. So if you go to the main page, you can click on a button to register and watch it. It's 31 minutes long. And
That's 31 minutes that'll change your life.
I'm not on camera talking for any of it. The happiest of accidents. I had a whole new script. We had a whole new masterclass. I sat here in the studio under these hot lights for 9 hours
Yeah.
recording. Got up at 5 o'clock the next morning to put it together. Half the footage was out of focus
Oh, bummer.
and unusable.
Bummer.
So I said some bad words.
There you go, making the best of it.
Yep. But then I grabbed the script, I recorded the audio, and I
Hmm.
spent 11 hours weaving visual pictures and videos to visually narrate the story that I was telling. And
Wow.
I actually watched this yesterday because somebody said they were having trouble. I said, well, I'll watch it to make sure it's working.
So
There's nothing I
go
would change.
So go and watch that. That's at Motivational Firewood. It's just right on your
Yep.
homepage.
Motivationalfirewood.com. There's a button on the main page that says click here to register for the masterclass.
Click there to
And then you'll
register for the
receive the email instructions of how to watch it. The timer will count down and you can get
fantastic.
a snack and pen and paper. And I think it's about a 15-minute countdown. And then you come back and watch it.
Fantastic. So you guys all go sign up for that and learn from Steve. Follow Steve on social. He is very inspiring, especially his Facebook stuff. Definitely get on his, even on your list, your email list.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
So they can
it's
keep
a
in
lot of
touch with
fun.
you.
Yeah, I love the interaction. I really do. I've got people that reach out on a daily basis and, hey, can I ask you a question? Fire away.
Yeah,
You know,
I know.
it,
You're very accessible.
I try to be.
Hmm.
I try to be. Yeah. I try to stay focused and get stuff done too, which is now why I have a little digital kitchen timer upstairs in my office.
Right,
Keeps me on
right.
task. And for 30 minutes at a time, boy, I'm productive.
That's
But it
good.
works. It's a tool that works for me. And I have a couple of YouTube channels that I call the Calm the Heck Down channel, relaxing, brain centered focus
Hmm.
music. And I listen to that when I'm working, and it works for me. So now it's one of the tools that I use.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for coming on here and sharing all of your great tips and wisdom with everybody.
Thank you so much. Always an honor to be here. Come on.
Thank you.
We go a long way back, and I'm
We
just so
do.
proud of where you are now and how far you've come as well. And honored to
Thank
be
you.
a part of it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Everybody have a fantastic week.